Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday. As you are listening to the show today, we are live in the studio. It is the fourth Thursday of the month. That means it is Traffic Safety Thursday. I am sitting across the desk from Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. Of course, how is my favorite sheriff, Lenny Milholland, doing these days?
Appears to be doing well. Called moments before the show. I'll be calling after the show. He said to make sure I took care of you.
Of course he did, because that's why he's my favorite sheriff.
Well, I'm not sure what he meant by take care of you. So,
well, he knew you can't keep me in line, so I'm sure that's not at all what he meant.
If Tim hasn't been able to after all these years, I don't know what chance I have.
Yeah, and I think he's just given up. I think he just has decided it is not even worth the effort that he was putting in prior.
Hey, he has 2 dogs now. It's like, that's where his attention's going.
That's exactly
They listen to me. They love me. They lick on me.
Well, they don't necessarily listen as well. Of course, they probably listen
better than you, but yeah.
So I have a couple of traffic safety questions that I'm going to throw at you today. Things that have happened to me or friends in the last month since you were here.
Jumping right into business.
Yes,
let's go.
We're getting right down to it.
All
right. Postal workers that are delivering mail on rural roads. Reliance Road, for example. There isn't a lot of pull-off, a lot of mailboxes. I'm coming down Reliance Road, doing the speed limit, I will say.
Yeah,
in this particular case, it depends on where you are on Reliance,
right.
But mostly it's 45.
So,
which I'm a little annoyed about because it used to be 55 in Frederick County, and then somehow it got all wonkied around and lowered, and I'm not happy about that at all. But that's a conversation, I think, for Ken Slack at VDOT.
And do you know how much time that cost you, that 10-mile-an-hour reduction?
Forever.
To get from one end to the other?
A lot.
Probably about 52 seconds.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
Unless you're stuck behind the rural mail carrier, which I guess you're going to ask me.
So when the people are delivering the mail and they're pulling on and off the road delivering mail, who has the right of way? Can I pass them? What am I supposed to do?
Well, it's not a matter of right of way as much of common sense and courtesy when it comes down to it. You're trying to get somewhere, and of course the postal worker is trying to get the mail delivered. Their vehicle's protected under certain code sections, and they're allowed to do certain things that we may not be able to do on a regular basis, knowing that they're performing a vital function to society. So the thing I would recommend here is, as you're coming up on that vehicle, now is this a truly marked postal vehicle?
Yeah.
Because I know some rural carriers still
are using cars.
Use a personal vehicle with flashing lights and usually a signage on it. But regardless, if you know it's a postage carrier, you have to treat it the same, whether it's a marked vehicle or a personal vehicle marked up. Don't assume that they're still in the process of making that delivery, so you're going to shoot around them. You want to approach safely, slow down. If it's safe to get around them, no one's coming, even if it's a double yellow line, if no one's coming, safely get around them, but do it slowly. Give them enough room. If no one's truly coming, use that other lane so that if they finish making that delivery right there and are about to pull out, and you're in their blind spot on the left side, and they go to merge back into what is the normal lane, you're not there. You're in the other lane.
Yeah.
So, number 1, make sure it's safe to do it. Number 2, do it slowly. Number 3, don't assume, again, that, well, they're making a delivery, I'm just going to come up, and at the last second, you're going to go to whip around them.
Which is what the car in front of me did today, I will say.
Yeah, because at that point in time, if that mail carrier goes to come back out onto the full width of the lane, and you're straddling that yellow line, there could be contact. So, yeah, it's mainly just common sense, but more common courtesy. And even if you have to wait a mailbox or two, if you stay behind them and you wait till they pull to that next mailbox, hey, I got at least a couple seconds here to do this safely.
And I travel Reliance enough that I know where the rows of mailboxes are, so I tend to try and wait until I know there are going to be 5 or 6 in a row that they're going to have to check or drop or do whatever, because that gives me a little more time to get around them than the single mailboxes that are scattered up and down the road.
And obviously looking ahead at, is that a blind turn up ahead of you that someone might be coming around that you can't see, that doesn't know that carrier's there? So you're in their lane. They're traveling at the 45 miles an hour, we hope, which gives you a little extra time. Another reason to do the speed limit. Another reason why that limit may have dropped from 55 to 45. Who knows? It's probably part of the reason to do it. You've got some agricultural farms and such along Reliance Road, so you've got farm equipment pulling out.
So am I allowed to pass one of those big old tractors that are carrying the bales of hay? Is it the same concept?
With the slow-moving vehicle sign? That becomes a little different. The slow-moving vehicle emblem warns you that, hey, you've got a piece of equipment here, whether it be a vehicle pulling a trailer, a tractor, whatever, that's going to be traveling well below the posted speed limit. Can you go around? I say yes. Again, it has to be safe. But the thing here is, remember, whenever you're in that opposing lane,
I'm in violation.
Not violation. You assume the risk. Let's talk liability versus, a violation. If we're saying it's okay for you to go around that postal worker as long as you do it safely, like the new bike law, if you come across 2 bicyclists who are riding abreast on one of the rural roads, and it's safe for you to get around them because let's say they're really getting it, 20, 25 miles an hour is pretty good, on a level surface, I'd say, for somebody out on a bike ride. But that's still going to be 20 miles an hour below the speed limit that you're able to travel. So you're going to go around them safely, even on a double yellow, and the code says you can do that. So you're not in violation. But if someone's coming the other way, it's still your responsibility to make sure that you're not in their lane when they are coming to use the lane. So it's the liability, not necessarily a violation, but you do assume some liability. That's why we say make sure it's safe to do so. And if you say, well, I thought it was safe, well, then you didn't make sure it was safe. I thought I could make it. That's the other thing.
So you've been in the car with me.
Well, what do most people say, Janet, when they get stopped for running a red light? When it turns yellow and they don't make it, one of the famous phrases, sorry, sir, thought I could make it.
Yeah.
And the comeback is, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You assume that risk, that liability. You rolled the dice. And technically in Virginia, when you see the yellow light, you're not supposed to speed up and try to make it. You're supposed to apply the brakes and stop. You're supposed to be prepared to stop anytime you're approaching even a green light.
So let me tell you, when Josh was little, he was in the car with me, and he learned green means go, red means stop, and yellow means go faster.
Yeah,
and then he goes to get his learners, and we get the book, and he's got to study everything. And he comes walking out in the living room one day, and he looks at me, he says, hey, yellow doesn't mean go faster, right, Mom? And I'm like, it doesn't for you. It still does for me, but it doesn't for you.
So, and that's the thing now. And again, depending on the light, some of these intersections, you can be there a full 2 minutes.
Right?
2.5 minutes. You know how much further I could have been down the road in 2.5 minutes?
My mocha at Starbucks would be getting cold while I'm sitting there at that light.
At 35 miles an hour, you know how far you'd make it in 2.5 minutes? You're talking a little bit over a mile. Yeah. Come on. Again, we start talking safety over convenience. And so I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that on my way here today, a couple people camping in that left-hand lane, and it's like, number one, you're not supposed to be in the left-hand lane if you're not passing somebody. Number two, you're not even doing the speed limit in the left-hand lane
for a reason.
And so now the thing I like to use is it's not up. Let's say you're even doing the speed limit, and you're in that left lane. You're like, well, I'm doing the limit. It's not your job to be the pace car for everyone else.
Really?
Correct. Not you personally, because I know you're going to be you're Richard Petty. You're out
try
front.
And keep up.
Yeah. But for someone else, it's like, look, I'm in the left-hand lane. I like it better here. I'm more comfortable. I don't have anybody on my left-hand side, whatever excuse, and I'm doing the speed limit. Nope. It's not your job to be the pace car. If other people want to take that risk And I am in no way encouraging that. But if they want to take that risk, it's not up to another motorist to say, nope, I'm not letting you. And it's like two trucks going down the interstate, side by side.
That's annoying.
Whether you're doing the speed limit or not, you pass or fall behind.
Or get out of the way. Yeah.
The left lane is supposed to be left open. So,
well, and I guess that makes sense.
Hope that answers that one.
So speaking of how slow is too slow, because slow-moving vehicles, we've talked about this before, and the speed limit is the max that you are supposed to be going in any posted area. How slow is too slow for you to be in trouble or be impeding traffic?
This is a multi-pronged question, because when we talk about speed limits, especially on our rural roads where we're still two lanes, one in each direction, and a lot of areas where it's double solid lines, so you're not allowed to pass, and the biggest gripe I hear, especially on social media when I'm reading comments and stuff where someone posts something about that car this morning. Hey, to that guy in that black Toyota, I just want, like he's really going to read that and be going, oh, maybe I should adjust my driving behavior.
Hey, you'd be surprised.
Well, but the thing is, they talk about the speed limit. And so more times than not, I get tagged, hey, Lieutenant, help us out here. And it's like, you're really not going to like my answer, because the fact of the matter is, the speed limit is that. It's the maximum allowable speed. It's not a set speed that every motorist has to.
It's not the minimum and maximum. It's just the maximum.
If the little old lady from Pasadena chooses to do 45 and a 55, she's not impeding the flow of traffic. Not in my opinion. She feels comfortable, especially on certain roads where we have signage that recommends, hey, around this turn go 35, around this turn do 40, So if she chooses to do 45 in a 55, she's not impeding the flow of traffic. Is she impeding you because you want to do 55? Yes. But telling her she has to do 55 is a wrong answer. So when you're talking about how slow is too slow, the way I've looked at it before, truly to be impeding the flow of traffic, you have to be moving at a rate that, even the most reasonable driver would be like, hey, I'm going to get out, walk up here and ask you to speed up. Then I'm going to walk back to my car and get back. Okay? But when we look at reckless driving in Virginia, it's always been that 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. Now, on a major highway that's 70, it's now anything over 85, which is only 16 miles an hour. But generally in your other posted speed limits, 40, 45, 55, 60 miles an hour, anything 20 over has been considered reckless. Mm-hmm. It's too fast to be considered just speeding.
Right.
So I've always said, okay, 20 below would be opposite. Too slow to be considered reasonable. And that's what we're looking at, is what speed would a reasonable and proficient driver do on this roadway as a minimum. And so I can't say it works in every place, because, if you're talking about a 35 mile an hour road, then we'd be talking 15 miles an hour, but I say, on a 55 mile an hour road, if someone's not traveling 35, 40 miles an hour, they could be seriously impeding traffic. And that's a slow enough speed that someone coming around that turn, coming up on someone that slow, that could be a problem.
Then it becomes dangerous as well.
So it's going to be based on several things: weather conditions, type of road conditions, volume of traffic, and what is the speed limit. And then I'd say you adjust it down. On some of the major highways I've traveled before where the speed limit was 60, 65 and such, I've seen minimums of 40 miles an hour posted. And you figure that's 15 to 20. So again, maybe they're using that logic I use. I'm not sure.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I have a scenario.
Wonderful.
Yes, scenarios are fun. And it's a scenario from one of your fans, Nikki from the Chamber.
Oh, my number one fan.
Yes, your number one fan. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. We are live in the studio today with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. It is Traffic Safety Thursday. We're going to talk more about traffic safety when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a quick money chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening. I was losing my bearings sitting here live in front of the microphone for a change. It is Traffic Safety Thursday. We are live again in the studio with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. And I'm all discombobulated. This one live show a month is really throwing me for a loop.
I'm just trying to keep you ready.
Yeah.
For when you need to step in at a moment's notice to take over for anybody that may be sick, injured, or whatever. You never know when they're going to throw you in the main studio and say, spin some tunes, Janet.
Yeah, that would be ugly. That would just, yeah. Well, I might be able to do that. I don't know that anybody want to listen to the tunes that I want to spin, but we'll see. It'll be a whole lot of Rick Springfield.
They used to say that about me, but, we were supposed to be country format. What are you doing playing AC/DC? Well, it's Friday.
So in the last segment, we were talking about how slow is too slow. When we went to break, I said I had a scenario for you. So Nikki from the Chamber did a road trip yesterday.
What's up, Nikki?
And she went with one of her board members and a good friend of hers to pick up a 71 Volkswagen Beetle in New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
With the intention of driving it back.
From New Jersey.
From New Jersey.
Okay.
And at some point on the way back, they were on 495, and Nikki said they were doing substantially less than the speed limit for 495 calls for, but it's because of the age and the nature of the particular car she was driving.
Okay.
What is that situation? I mean, I guess she could have been pulled over for impeding.
How slow was well below?
35, I think 35 or 40 miles an hour, and it's what?
On 495?
70 or something.
Well, that's the limit. The people are probably doing 75, 80.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably a dangerous situation right there. If
and
you're
then
only
Nikki, of course, is following behind her in her car doing the same amount of speed.
So there are two vehicles going 40 miles an hour. Yeah, that would be something where I would try to find an alternate route
what about
to
hazard
get off
lights?
the interstate.
Does that make everything okay if you have your flashers on?
Hazard lights going down the road, there are different philosophies on this. And there may be different code sections in different jurisdictions. Let's be clear of that. But putting on your emergency flashers traveling down the roadway in Virginia really isn't recommended. No. Okay, what's that supposed to tell me? You're going too slow? Because people do it when they're going too slow. Are you getting ready to have a baby and you're taking your wife to the hospital and you're going too fast? Because people do it when they're going too fast. Do you have a tire that's getting ready to go flat and you're losing control of your vehicle so you don't want anybody too close to you? So what do the flashing lights tell me as law enforcement or tell you as another motorist coming up? Do you need help? Is that a signal? Is there someone in your vehicle holding you against your will? Do I need to pull you over to check to see if you're okay? Is that a sign? I mean,
you really need to write a book. I never would have thought about that one. That's a good one. You should write a book.
Well, there are plenty of people who do this job who think the same way I do. I don't know that they would think the same thing, but I appreciate it. But that's the whole idea. The emergency hazard lights are supposed to tell us that something's wrong. And normally we see them on a vehicle that's already stopped. And that's what the warning is like, hey, look at me over here. Like law enforcement with our blue lights. Our blue lights tell you to pull over, okay?
Right.
But the blue lights behind us, once I pull you over, tell everybody approaching us, hey, we're stopped here in a position where we don't recommend people to be pulled over and stopped, and why we now have the move over law.
Right.
So you see those flashing lights, move over and avoid because something's going on over here. So traveling down the road with the hazard lights on, to me, isn't a good recommendation. People do it in bad weather, when they're going slow because of the heavy rain, snow, or whatever. But that also helps with visibility in some of those situations. So when you're in a heavy rain or a fog situation and you're coming up, and maybe someone's not using as much common sense and slowing down the way they should, hopefully they see those flashing lights. So there's all kinds of reasons why those hazard lights can and should be used, but traveling below the speed limit on a major highway wouldn't be one that I would recommend.
She said that most of their trip back, they tried to stay off of the major highways and the rural roads. And then she was talking about, because it's a beautiful car from what she has described to me. And it has, because it's 1971, it has a lap belt and not the harness.
Not the shoulder
seat belt,
and lap.
which I told her was another good reason to stay off of 495 but that kind of brings up my question you and I have talked about before too, which is antique vehicles don't have a lot of the safety equipment and may not be able to do some of the speeds.
Well, and that's why
expected.
Virginia code states that a vehicle that's manufactured, I believe, after January of 1968, I guess is when it became standard. I'm not 100% sure. But before that date, the lap belt could have been optional in the vehicle you bought.
Oh, wow.
So, if I pull somebody over in a 1955 Chevy, after I wipe the drool away, I go, I really like your car, it's going to be hard to say, well, you're not wearing your seatbelt, when they go, well, there's a reason for that, Lieutenant.
Doesn't have one.
Yeah. So the thing I'll say about just having the lap belt, and again,
better than nothing, I guess.
I am a proponent for seatbelts, you know that. But the lap belt saved lives back in the day as well. So yes, it's better than having nothing. Does it give you as much protection as you have now with the lap and shoulder belts that
and
all new vehicles
and all
have?
The other stuff, yeah.
And then when we start talking about some of these antique vehicles, of course, they're built a lot sturdier than some of the vehicles we drive today. So again, not saying, oh, you don't need a seatbelt in those type of vehicles. I'm just saying certain impacts are going to be a lot more survivable in that type of vehicle built the way it is with the material it was built with versus some of the cars today. So yeah, wear the lap belt, Nikki. If it's what it comes with, wear it. And if you get stopped, you just point out, hey, it doesn't have
all I got. I'm working with the only equipment I have.
So, but yeah, that 40 miles an hour to me on a road like 495 or 81, anywhere where there's a 65, 70 mile an hour limit, that would probably be too slow to be considered safe. So it puts you in a rough spot. But they did the right thing, traveling alternate routes where they could. And if there's a spot where you have to be on there, then definitely stay in the right-hand lane. Definitely try to keep it up to that speed as much as you can. And, hazard lights, depending on where you are, I don't know if that would be something that you would get in trouble for or not. But to me, I think it would be a fair enough warning about, hey, something's going on here, something's not quite right.
Keep some distance between me and this vehicle.
But it doesn't protect you. And I mean protect you from someone flying up on you any more than it protects us when we're on the shoulder of the road. It's the most uncomfortable feeling in the world.
I cannot even imagine.
To be sitting there and have someone blow by so fast and so close that the car actually rocks back and forth.
So, but that kind of ties into one of the things you wanted to touch on before we wrap up, which is the governor's new initiative about not speeding through summer.
Yeah, I got an email this morning from my program manager at DMV, who we deal with our highway safety grants. And apparently the governor's office has created a new speed-related safety initiative, the Don't Speed Through Summer, Make It Last. Apparently, and I pointed this out to you, I thought, a while back, that we have seen an increase in vehicle crashes, in severity, in serious injury. Now, a good number of those have been impaired drivers. We've seen an increase in that during this COVID period.
Distracted.
But we're also seeing a lot of speed-related. And I don't know if it's just people have been cooped up for so long that when they get out here, they're either they're taking their frustrations out and road raging with other drivers, or they're just out here hot dogging it, for the thrill.
Yeah.
I don't know. Amusement parks were closed, so you weren't getting your roller coaster fix. So you're out here hot dogging it in your vehicle. And I can tell you right now, folks, it's not the way to do it, because according to the email, in the first 6 months of this year, we've already had 182 people lose their lives on Virginia highways as a result of speed-related crashes. Now, that's not the total number of fatalities.
No, that's just speed-related.
Those are just the ones that have been determined to be speed-related. That's also turned out to generate 4,248 injuries.
Wow.
in speed-related crashes.
And that's this year so far. We're barely 7 months into this year.
Well, and last year we had 22,479 speed-related crashes that resulted in 416 fatalities. It was the highest number in at least 10 years.
And we were in a pandemic last year where nobody
there was supposed to be fewer people on the
road.
And now they've created this safety initiative. And so all I can do is stress again, and I know we have supporters. We in law enforcement and public safety and first responders, we have our supporters. We have people who know, hey, there's some silly things going out here on the highway. And people that get pulled over and get cited, they can blame the law enforcement officer all they want. They can claim it's Big Brother. They can claim we're trying to make money for the government or for our agency or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, as I've said before, the last thing I want to do in this job is go to someone's home after leaving the scene of a fatal crash and give them the news that I'm going to be the face that they are always going to remember after that day, after that night.
Yep.
I'll remember that day when Lieutenant Gosnell came and told me my dad, my husband, my brother, my sister, my mom, my grandmother, died in a car crash. That's the last thing I want to do. And so for anyone that wants to say, hey, you're on a power trip, you big man in your badge and gun, you must have been picked on when you were a kid. Your mom dropped you on your head when you were a baby. Whatever it is they want to say about me. Some of it's true, but we're out here for a reason. And the reason is because you don't see what we see when we roll up on that fatality. You don't have family members showing up at the scene wanting to see their loved one and you trying to convince them that, no, you don't want to see this. And when it comes down to the simple fact of some of these things are tragic in the sense of some of these people aren't the ones that were violating the law.
They were doing the speed limit and doing everything they were supposed to do. They weren't the one being the idiot.
And they weren't the one impaired by drugs or alcohol. They weren't the one distracted by the phone. They weren't the one doing 100+ miles an hour on the interstate just for kicks. And so while any loss of life is a tragedy we want to avoid, we especially want to avoid those innocent people who are doing nothing but trying to get from point A to point B. So if you think we're out here writing tickets for quotas, because again, I can tell you,
feel about quotas.
As long as I am associated with this agency, as long as Sheriff Milholland is the sheriff of Frederick County,
my favorite sheriff,
there will never be any type of quota system set. I want to see 10 speeding tickets today. I want to see 5 of this. I want to see... No.
I can't even imagine those words coming out of his mouth.
It's a silly concept for people to think. Could there be places that do that? I guess. And I think if there are places that do that, they need to rethink. And even if they're saying, well, we're not doing it because we're making money, because they don't really make money off of it. We're doing it because, we want to show that we're out here trying to improve road safety. Then I'd say use different wording.
Find a better way.
Don't set a goal as far as numbers. Set a goal as far as if you see something, I want you to do something. If you see a speeder, I want you to stop it. If you see someone reckless driving, you see someone DUI, I want you to handle it. But I don't want you to go out here and say, okay, 1 down, 4 to go. No, it's not like that. So bottom line here, folks.
Game.
Right. Bottom line here is these stats don't lie. All right. And you can feel how you want about the current party that's in authority in the Commonwealth or any other state and say, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about anyway when it comes to other things. Why should I listen to him on this? This
has the science and the stats
affects us
to back
all.
it up. Yeah.
Okay. We have people dying on our roads here in Frederick County, Warren County, Clark County. None of us are immune to this. So again, if you think it comes down to we're just out here, bragging it up about the great deeds we do and how many people we've been able to stop and pull over, you need to think again. There's a bigger picture here, and it's an important picture. So.
Well, we have to wrap up in about a minute and a half.
All right.
And I teased about this at the end of yesterday's show, that this is our last show together for the next 90 days. Not because we have chosen to do a trial separation for 90 days, but the FCC requires that you are not allowed to come do the radio show with me anymore because you are on the ballot for the Shawnee District of the Board of Supervisors in Frederick County.
Yes, I am.
So you're running for office and thought that was more important than sitting here and talking to me every month. Thanks.
Well, I can tell you when everything started falling into place and this became a reality, I wasn't thinking of you.
So rude.
You're not in my district.
That's true. That's the upside. That's why, I was okay with it because I thought, okay, I don't have to make that decision about whether I'm going to vote for him or not.
Well, I know you're a fan, and if not, you've got one of mine now.
I've got one, and you autographed it for me, which,
there you go.
I will treasure forever.
That's the important thing.
You will be back in November for the November show after the election, regardless of how that shakes out. I wish you a lot of luck because I can't vote for you. I hope you win.
Well, I appreciate that. So you can at least give my website?
Well, go ahead. Give it to me. You got 15 seconds.
www.goz4bos.com.
There you go. So there, go be a fan. Follow him on Facebook.
.us. Sorry, .us.
See, he doesn't even know his own website.
Yeah,
GOZ4 BOS. .us.
There you go.
I'll be back tomorrow. It's United Way Day. Meet me here for that conversation just a few minutes after noon.
I'll be back in November.